Hello, everyone. Good evening. Happy homecoming weekend in a new world, the new world of the homecoming weekend. It has been a whirlwind of a start of the year. For those of you that don't know me, I'm Brandy Johnson, the Vice President of Student Affairs here at Endicott College. We've had an excellent start to the school year, and while I would love to be standing in the Callahan greeting all of you, as I would be in a normal year, and eating a ton of apple cider donuts, I'm really happy to be here with you tonight and have the opportunity to chat with you and let you know what is going to be going on this weekend. Again, it has been a whirlwind of the year. We're looking forward to an excellent year. The students have been phenomenal. We've been really lucky to be able to start and be face-to-face and really be able to embrace our community the way that we know and want to. So a huge thank you to Dr. DiSalvo for making that happen. A huge thank you to all of the staff that has been so instrumental in that being a part of our start to the school year. So enough from me. I want to introduce Dr. DiSalvo, our president, to be able to give you a welcome and a couple of announcements. So Dr. DiSalvo, all yours.
Well, thank you, Brandy. And it's wonderful to have so many people gathered together virtually. I agree, it would be wonderful if we could have people here in person. It's a beautiful afternoon. I was looking out at the water earlier and thinking it would also be a beautiful day for football tomorrow. But unfortunately, we can't do those things for all of the obvious reasons. But I want to give you a sense of where we have been, where we are now, and where we see ourselves going into the future. If you all recall, it's almost 7 months ago, we made the difficult decision to bring home our study abroad students in March. That's when the pandemic first broke, and we were lucky enough to get everybody home safely. From Florence, from Spain, from Cork, Ireland, and from other locations around the world. When they returned, we were on the verge of starting our spring break. So we made the decision at that point that we would extend spring break by 2 weeks and hopefully ride this out, not knowing that this was going to be a long-term issue for everyone. So when we had to make the difficult decision to switch everything online, our faculty, our students, our staff did a tremendous job pivoting and getting to the point where we were able to offer all of our classes in a remote, interactive style without really missing a beat and getting us to the end of the semester. When the semester was about to close, of course, the big question was, would we be able to host any type of commencement ceremony? And the mandates from the state and from the federal government on limiting attendance didn't allow us to do that. So we were able to do some virtual things, but we've made a commitment that we will celebrate the class of 2020 and we will do it in a big way when we can. We don't want them to be forgotten in any way because like so many, including my son who graduated from college this past May, they were stripped of those normal celebratory events. So we want to make sure that they get the proper send-off they so deserve. When we entered early summer, one of the big questions was, will the college be able to open safely? We're part of a consortium, and I think this is important for people to understand because it was such an important part of our decision-making process. We're part of a consortium called the Association of Independent Colleges and Universities in Massachusetts. And AICM is the title. AICM meets on a weekly basis with all of the presidents in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. There are 56 independent schools. And it ranges from Harvard and BU and BC and Tufts to places like Endicott, Merrimack, and Stonehill, to some very small places. And we were convinced that the only way to open safely would be if we had a robust testing process in place to make sure that we could pick up any cases of the virus, isolate them, trace them, and make sure they didn't spread. So we all entered into an agreement with the Broad Institute at MIT. And it is a very thorough PCR test, not the long Q-tip that goes to the back of your head, but a simple Q-tip that you would normally use in your ear, and you do 3 swabs in each nostril, and it gets put in a test tube and sent down to Cambridge. And so we set up a testing location on campus, and we knew that if we tested everybody upon reentry, and then continued to test and surveillance test weekly, that we would in fact create our own little bubble. We do have students that move off campus, right? They do student teaching, they are nurses doing clinicals, or they're doing their internships. So they're pulled off campus. So when they come back, we want to make sure we can test them again, and again, make sure that there is no transmission of the virus on campus. That was the key part of the decision-making process. Once we entered into the agreement with the Broad, we decided that we would do this for this semester and into the spring if necessary. And so as of this week, we have conducted over 10,000 tests of our students, our faculty, and our staff. We have had 2 cases with staff members the first week. There are actually 2 people that commute together. We were able to isolate them, trace them, had no other positives as a result of that. We had 1 RA test positive the first week. Again, not many students on campus, trace that, no additional positives. And since then, only 2 additional students have tested positive. So we have an extremely low positivity rate. As a matter of fact, today I was on the phone with the mayor of Beverly, and we were talking about how unusual our numbers on the North Shore of Boston are compared to other areas, not just in and around Boston, but throughout New England. I was told this week, and I don't have the source for this, but I was told that Middlebury College and Endicott College have the 2 lowest positivity rates in all of New England. Now, I give great credit to our students, because we knew that the only other piece of this that we had to adhere to are all the safety protocols that we put in place, and the students would have to follow them. If they didn't, this thing could go off the rails pretty quickly. So what are they? Number 1, mandatory mask wearing. So campus right now looks different. We have students, it's great. We have them in the classroom, we see them in the dining hall, they're in the residence halls, but they are wearing masks. And I will say that they are self-policing. They tell each other if the mask is not on, they should put the mask on. I have told a few students, the mask is not a chin strap. It is a mask. It needs to be put over your nose because we know that transmission is limited if your face is covered. So mask wearing, mandated. Second thing, social distancing. And we are very strict about this in the classroom, where we've limited capacity, took out desks, made sure that our classrooms only had a certain number of seats, that the podium where the faculty member stands is enough distance from where the students are, that there's plexiglass there, and that all the PPE equipment and the cleaning supplies are outside of every single classroom so that they can be wiped down in between. Again, great credit to our students, to our faculty for making sure that that happens. But we also have social distancing in places like the dining hall. And so imagine a dining hall with fewer seats and also the mandate to distance while you're queuing up to get your food. There's no more buffet. There's no more self-serve. Brandy can't get her ice cream anymore on her own. She has to have somebody serve it to her. So it slows things down a bit. However, our partners at Sodexo came up with an app that allows some students to pre-order and pick up to go. By the way, they love this in Einstein Bagels. They pre-order, they have a little tent outside. They don't even go in the building. They just come and they're told what time it'll be ready, pick it up and go. They're hoping that stays post-COVID because they like it so much. And in the dining room, we also have just outside the entry, a large flat screen television. And it tells you what the capacity in the dining hall is. So right now it'll say 575 gulls, but above it, it will tell you what the current capacity is. And we know that because there are scanners above each door as you enter and as you exit. And the current capacity goes up and down as people enter and exit. When we reach 90% capacity, the dining hall manager gets a text, gets on the PA, and tells people we're about to reach maximum capacity. Would those that are finished please exit so we can let more folks in. We have yet to reach 100% capacity because students have been so good about honoring that system and respecting their fellow gulls and letting them in when they're done. So kudos to them once more for respecting the social distancing rules. Lastly on this, the tracing. When we have had some cases, we have to trace. How does that work? We will ask students, who have you been around for longer than 15 minutes without a mask? Certainly roommates. So we want to test those roommates right away to see if they are positive or negative. We will ask about who you've been around in the dining hall, because obviously you have to take your mask off to eat. And so we consider those little family units. Well, we want to test those folks. In the classroom, we had a great suggestion from one of our deans to have seating designated in every class. In other words, you don't walk into a class and pick a new seat every time. You have a seat for the semester. And why is that important? Because the seat maps will tell us who is in front of you, behind you, to the left and the right. So if you do test positive, we don't have to go to the whole class. We go to the people around you. So these are the little nuances that have made this work very well. We did make some decisions that helped us with de-densifying the residence halls. The Wiley Inn, which had little to no business booked for the fall, is no longer being used for outside events. It is a residence hall. It's a nice residence hall. You have your own bathrooms and it's in good shape. Students like it. But that's one way for us to pick up extra beds so that we wouldn't have triples and quads forced in any other buildings. We also had some off-campus housing units that we picked up because we also knew that we had study abroad students this semester that weren't going to go abroad. So those 65 extra students needed a place to stay, and we had to make sure we had those extra beds. We did have some students that opted out of the residence hall, either commuting or found their own units off campus. So we don't have the overflow capacity that we've had in the past few years, but I think we've managed it quite well within the residence halls. And again, students have done a great job. The Res Life staff, tremendous job. We have some rules in place. Some of the students don't like the rules. No visitors after 9 p.m. That means nobody outside your building. So if you have friends in another building, you cannot congregate in the residence hall. You can go to other public places on campus, but that's to make sure that, again, we know who is entering and exiting, and there aren't large groups gathering in any of those spaces. So that's the COVID news. One other side effect of COVID is that we could not run any weddings this summer. For those of you that have been on campus in the past several years, you know that we do quite a number of weddings at both Tupper Manor and at Mistlewood. Last year, we did 127 weddings between those two venues, quite a number. The weddings got postponed. Brides could not have their wedding event, but we wanted to comply with the law and also be able to accommodate the couples that wanted to exchange vows. So we created something called Vows with a View. Come to Mistlewood, go on the lawn behind the building with 10 family members and exchange your vows, and then come back at a later date and have your reception. So we had quite a number of those. One I actually officiated back in July. And so it was a wonderful time for the campus to slowly emerge back and get people here, which was a lot of fun. Our enrollment numbers. Just want to let you know that, how did we continue doing normal business in this environment? Much of it shifted virtually, just like we're doing now. So those prospective students that had toured the campus last fall, they didn't get to come back for the big open house events that we normally have, which is kind of the closing event. It's the last chance for them to see us, meet our faculty and staff, see students, see athletes that they want to interact with, coaches. So that all got changed, but we were able to do it virtually and have people break out into small groups after the larger speakers. We actually had better attendance at our virtual open house than we've ever had at any in-person open house. Now, part of that is people didn't have to travel. They could carve out a few hours from home. They could hear what they needed to find out. They could talk to people in these breakout sessions and then make a decision about where they wanted to go. So we started this semester 11 students over our budgeted goal. Most colleges and universities around us have had tremendous struggles with enrollment over the past 6 months, some down as much as 200 off of their budget. So we're in an unusual place right now because we knew we had a great product, but I think we also were able to show people that we could continue to thrive even through adversity, and we weren't going to slow down. And people wanted to see that if they were making a decision, that they could pick a college that they could actually go to and physically move into and not log on from home or go to a residence hall on another campus and Zoom in from their dorm room, which many other schools were offering. On this topic, I'll just tell you that one of the overarching philosophies that I brought to this decision-making process was that the easy decision for us would have been stay in your basements, don't come out until 2022, and we'll ride it out for the next year. We would have to furlough lots of people, and that's the easy decision that really doesn't help our students, and it certainly doesn't help our employees. The tougher decision was to teach people not to live in fear. That if you do this properly, and you're able to test, and you're able to trace, and you follow these rules, that we could live in this new normal comfortably. And we could educate our students, not just through transferring knowledge electronically, but transferring knowledge in person and helping our students grow academically, socially, spiritually, athletically. And on that note, our athletic conference voted not to compete this fall, especially in the contact sports, However, our student athletes are training, and we're hoping that some of those seasons got postponed, and we'll find out more in the coming months. Some of the winter sports have been pushed to start dates in January and early February. But the fall sports will not compete in the fall. We are waiting for an NCAA decision on whether or not we can compete in the spring. So that's kind of the landscape of what's been happening at the college. The other major issue that we all saw is the issue around diversity, equity, and inclusion. And actually, Brandy is chairing that effort for our campus and convened a group. And it's not just about talking about what we want to do. It's putting an action plan together and trying to move the needle on some very important initiatives. You know, in my inaugural address a year ago, I said that this campus should be reflective of the world in which we live. And I strongly believe that. To do that, we have to put resources behind our efforts on where we want to recruit students, but also diversifying our faculty and our staff. And so we are doing a climate survey for the first time ever to get a sense of where people are on these issues of diversity and inclusion. And that's our baseline data. And then we'll be able to map out what initiatives we think will be able to move on and affect change in a short period of time and then over a longer period of time. So that's important for everyone to know that work still goes on, even though the number one thing is to keep everybody safe. We're still going ahead with other courses of our business. The campus looks beautiful. And I have to tell you that while people were gone, and there was no one here, my wife Eileen and I would go on walks every day. And it was interesting to see some wildlife emerge. There was a fox following us around for about a month, but there were no human beings. I mean, it was surreal. But you really got to take in the beauty of the campus. And I also got to take a look at where can we make some improvements while people weren't around. And so one of the little things we did that I think had a major impact was we had lots of walkways that were asphalt walkways. They were buckled in places. You had some frost heaves, and they weren't very appealing to look at. So we were able to replace those with all brick. So as you drive into campus and you look across at the pond on the left and the right side, we have these beautiful brick walkways, one leading up to the Halley Library, one leading back to the new Wax Academic Center. And then of course, the new wing of the Academic Center is under construction and will be complete this December. It is a beautiful structure. In it is a 750-seat auditorium, a lecture hall. There are 3 seminar rooms in the rear with glass fronts that look into the lecture hall. They can be used for overflow seating for lectures or independently for teaching and gathering. They also have movable walls that can become one large space. There's another cafe in there. So another dining option for our students. There are some small breakout rooms and rooms that can be used for interviewing for career services. So it has a multi-function approach, and it's the centerpiece of the campus. So when you drive in behind the pond, you will now see what is beginning to take shape is a beautiful academic quad flanked by these new buildings. And it really does bring the campus to focus quite nicely. Lastly, and then I'm happy to take any questions that people have, we are embarking on a strategic planning process for the future. We actually met over the last 2 days to do some work on initiatives around program development, capital infrastructure for the future. our presence internationally, both abroad, but also domestically, and through some innovative ideas that we have around our wonderful internship program. Our interns, by the way, still able to find work, some virtually, some in person. It's not, the concern for them is not so much the workplace, it's traveling to and from. So we've helped them out when we can. But there are many interesting ideas that are generating, and they align with what will soon become a public capital campaign, because we have to fund some of these initiatives, including scholarships. So I talked about diversity and inclusion. Well, you also need money to attract some of those students, which means you've got to have some scholarship money available. Our endowment, which went up and down over the past 6 months, is back up over 100 million, so we're happy about that. But we're also cautiously optimistic as we get closer to the spring semester, because we are planning to continue this very rigorous process of being able to test and keep the campus safe for as long as we have to do it. We are, I believe, leading the way in this effort, not just regionally, but nationally. We're doing it better than most. Every day is a new day. One little case can explode pretty quickly if it's not managed well. But I credit our leadership team. We've done a tremendous job. The communication efforts we've had, the dashboard, which is up and you can look at, it's on the web. Every day you can check out how many more tests were done and what the positivity rates are. So we've been very transparent there too. Soon we'll be able to have people back, and it'll be an exciting day. And until then, I want to thank you all for your continued support. I know you've been cheering us on from afar, and I know a lot of you want to come back to campus, and we want to see you soon as we can. So thank you again for this opportunity, and I'm happy to take any questions that are out there.
Dr. DiSalvo, there was one question in regards to triples and a first-year student or students that are still in triples in Endicott Hall. I responded to that one for you, but just to be live in the case that others did not see that. If there's any, our Residence Life team reached out to any students who did not specifically request to be either in a triple or a quad, and we still have the ability to move people around if there is anything, or not anything, if there is a want for your son or daughter to make a move. Corey Quill is our Associate Director of Residence Life, who handles what I call the chess pieces throughout campus. So if there is any moves that are still wanted, please feel free to reach out to us. We want to make sure that everyone is feeling safe, happy, and accommodated as best as we can. Dr. DiSalvo, there's one other question from Mr. Whiteman. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. He's applauding your leadership and the team for the decision to find a pathway to learn in this new environment, and is asking if there is a COVID threshold that would cause us to close the campus similar to last spring.
Yeah, it's a great question, and it really has to do with capacity. So what I didn't mention is that we still have the mods, which we did not put in the housing lottery. The plan was to take the mods down and build a new residence hall. We had to put that on hold, but we kept the mods available for quarantine purposes. And then we do have some rooms in the Wiley Inn if we need them. So the threshold question has to do with when do we reach maximum capacity on quarantining and isolation. And so there isn't a hard number here. It's something we monitor every day. And I say that because there are some instances where symptomatic students are tested, they're tested negative, but because they have symptoms, we want them to isolate. Some of them have gone home and they live close by, so they're not occupying the spaces here. So it's not the number of cases, it is the occupancy in those units that will dictate whether or not we would have to shift. Obviously, that's the last thing we want to do. which is why we are so diligent about making sure we catch these cases early and we trace them right away.
Thank you. And Mrs. Muse, again, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, is saying thank you for all of your efforts.
You're very welcome.
And then we also have another dad that is thanking the school for doing the continuing to operate in person, and that his daughter has given some great feedback about the experience so far, especially the in-person aspect. So great work. So thank you very much.
Well, you know, I'll just reiterate what I said earlier. None of this works if the students don't comply. And we did have a few cases in the beginning. There were tough decisions where we had to dismiss a few students. And I can tell you that the days following, I had students come up to me and say, I'm not going to do that. I don't want to be sent home. You know, please don't shut us down. And those were tough decisions that had to be made. There is no gray area. I just want people to be clear. We've had some people say, well, is it really that bad that they violated this policy, or it didn't really hurt anybody, or the person ended up being negative? They signed a compact. The compact is clear. Everybody understands it. We reinforce this message constantly. We've done a massive marketing campaign, which is protect the flock, cover your beak, spread your wings. They know what they have to do. So, you know, unfortunately, some people don't adhere to that, but they have to be investigated and adjudicated quickly. And I've supported every single decision that Brandy and her team have made. And the word gets around, and, you know, the 99.9% of the students are doing the right thing, and good for them.
Thank you. We have another parent that is saying that this week solidified their decision that Endicott was the right decision for their son. So thank you for that. We're glad that your son is happy and that you are, and that everyone's feeling safe. And then we have another question that's in regards to whether the students will be coming back after Thanksgiving. Wondering about that.
Yes, the plan is to come back after Thanksgiving. We are now looking at possibly shifting some days after Thanksgiving so we can test everybody upon return. So they'll probably come back. They may not start classes on that Monday, so we can get everybody cleared from a testing perspective. But there was an important reason that we felt it was important to come back. The days following Thanksgiving are the most important days on the academic calendar in terms of academic support and advising. That's the time when it's crunch time, right? Students know they're getting ready for finals. They have to study. They need help. They want to talk to faculty members. They want to talk to advisors that can help them with things like time management or study skills. And to send people home and then say, take your exams remotely, we felt we were doing them a great disservice by leaving them for those last couple of weeks. So the plan is, yes, to return and complete the semester as planned.
Thank you. As of right now, it doesn't look like there's any more questions for you, Dr. DiSalvo. Thank you so much for everything and all of that you've shared with us. And as you mentioned, it's been an intense beginning to the semester, but a great one. And I thank you for helping my team and supporting the decisions, the hard decisions that we've made. So the parents that are on here, a couple of things that I would like to also highlight and reiterate that Dr. DiSalvo also said. We are doing our absolute best to still have as many programs in person as we can, small numbers. We're talking packs of 10. We've done some outdoor movies in our softball field, and those have been larger groups, but very socially distanced. We've done some scavenger hunts. I would like to suggest that you please have your son or daughter check out the Blue Buzz weekly to see what's going on campus, so that way they can keep themselves involved. in this different world that we're in, it's difficult to make those awesome connections that without a mask and in larger groups would typically be easier. So please suggest to your son and daughter to check out the Blue Buzz, so then that way they can continue to be a part of the community and get to know other people and see everything that's going on. There's been virtual clubs and organization fairs, so then that way everyone knows which clubs and organizations are available. So please have them do that. And then the other thing that I want to reiterate, or maybe just speak, our public safety department has an anonymous tip line. Our students have been using it quite frequently to let us know what is going on campus that may be in violation to the code of conduct and this new compact that we have, the COVID compact. I've been with the college for 12 years. It has been used more during our reopening than ever before. And I'm extremely thankful for it, because we have eyes in a lot of places, but we don't have eyes everywhere. So to be able to minimize and mitigate all risk and make sure everyone is safe and feeling respected and protected, utilizing that system is also helpful. So if you want to reiterate that to your son or daughter, that would be helpful. And then for you as parents, to make sure that you are having your son and daughter sign up for EC alerts. Again, that is something that is on our Endicott Public Safety webpage. It's good. They can sign you up as well to get those alerts. They will give you anything for, God forbid, a major emergency, but the reason that a lot of people sign up for them is for the snow days, to find out when there's going to be no school. So make sure you sign up for that, or have your son and daughter sign up for that. And they all should be signed up for the Co-Verified app, as that was part of their student compact. But if they haven't mentioned that to you, please ask them about it to make sure that they have the Co-Verified app on their phone. That is their easiest way to log their symptoms, as well as sign up for testing and get their test results back on that app. So again, thank you, Dr. DiSalvo, for the welcome and all of the great information that we were able to share with the families that are on with us this evening.
Thank you. Brandy, if I could just add one final comment. It's funny, my phone was lighting up. I was getting texts from some parents. And I want you to know that it was my first year at Endicott. Obviously, the first 7 months went really well. then things went off the rails a little bit. But we went into crisis management mode. And, you know, I always say, I'm the father of 3 and the parent to 3,000, right? So I treat your children like they're my children. And sometimes it's a little tough love, and sometimes it's managing expectations. But I've been out and about, and I've had lunch with some in the dining hall, and I've walked around campus chatting with students. We had an event just the other night in the Mistlewood tent for some of our presidential ambassadors. And they are excited to be here. Don't take this the wrong way, but they said to me, we wanted out of our parents' basements. And I said, I think your parents wanted you out of their basements too. So it's mutually agreed upon. We're happy that they're here. We're happy that they're following the rules. But please know that we are treating them as if they are our own children. So on that note, I'll say thank you all for being with us. It's been a delight to be able to chat with you this evening.
Thank you again, Dr. DiSalvo. He's right. So I have a 6-year-old, and I at first was talk about that fear. I didn't want to send her to first grade, and now I'm doing like a hallelujah. I'm so happy that you're happy, little girl, because mom can be mom again. It is nice to have her back in school. So I'm sure all of you are a bit apprehensive, but also happy that they are with us and safe. Just to give you another piece of good news, Dr. DiSalvo, before I go on and let the parents know about some of the other events that are happening virtually this weekend. One of the attendees this evening spoke about how her daughter ended up inadvertently in a quad, and she's extremely grateful because of the instant social group. So that's fabulous. I'm really happy to hear that there our families that are happy and understanding. When I spoke during orientation to the parents, I said, you know, getting into a quad or a triple might seem a little scary, but it's your family unit, and it really is a great chance to grow and have that opportunity to really get to know a small group of friends, especially during this time. So wanted to share that with you because that was written in as well. Okay, Tori, I am ready to tell people about all of the other events that are going on. So this evening, friends and family, there's still a virtual concert that you can attend, as well as an alumni brewery roundtable. Those are the two that I would suggest, unless you're a roller hockey alumni, and then you should go to that. But the two that I think you should really look at would be the virtual concert, and the alumni brewery virtual roundtable. If you're interested still to sign up this evening, because they're taking place in the next 20 minutes or hour and 20 minutes, please just email homecoming@endicott.edu and they will make sure to send you the information to be able to get into one of those sessions. Tomorrow, we have a lot of events happening. A virtual 5K. They put run/walk. I'm saying walk/run because that whole run first thing, like, let's simmer down, Tori. Let's take it nice and slow. So there is a virtual 5K, a walk run. There's a panel with the academic deans, a virtual cooking class, and so much more. For those of you that are new to Endicott, I would really suggest, well, do the exercise for sure, but the virtual panel with the academic deans, that will have you'll have the opportunity to meet Dr. Beth Schwartz, our new provost at the college. So if you have the opportunity to hop into that on Saturday, please do so. Again, please email homecoming@endicott.edu if you're interested in any of those events. On Sunday, we're going to have our close down. Nice little wrap up with the opportunity of virtual meditation that will be with our Director of Spiritual Life and Chaplain, Gail Cantor, who is also one of the co-chairs of the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Task Force with me. She does a great job with meditation. She has quite the following on campus that are doing meditation and really finding a way to embrace everything that's going on in the world and still find some time for peace, relaxation, and a moment to just pause. Gail's motto is Gulls Pause. She's big on making sure that people are just taking a break from all of what's happening. So if you have an opportunity for the wrap up for the virtual meditation, I would highly suggest that. We also have a choose your own virtual volunteer project. And then there's virtual art exhibits at any point. Again, if you're interested in any of those, please contact homecoming@endicott.edu and they'll get you the links and the information for that. I want to thank Tori Philbin from Institutional Advancement, as well as Molly Buckley from Student Activities, for putting together so much of this program. What a different world we're in, and they're still plugging away to make sure we have all of these opportunities for our family, friends, alumni to still be able to have the opportunity to gather when we would be gathering in person together. So Tori, thank you. Molly, thank you. As always, Tom and Chris for doing our virtual world and making sure I don't mess up anything on my screen. Thank you very much for that as well. Jillian Dubman is also on here. I just want to do a quick hello to Jillian. Jillian is our Chief of Staff here at the college. She keeps me under wraps and also works very, very closely with Dr. DiSalvo. So thank you, Jillian, for being a part of tonight. Tori, is there anything that you want to say to wrap up? Because that's all I've got. I'm looking forward to seeing some people in some of these other virtual events. So thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. No, thank you so much, Brandy. Thank you, Dr. DiSalvo. We're really excited for the rest of this weekend, and we're excited to see so many people join us for a number of events. So we will see you guys later and have a really great night. We're off to a dance ensemble.